for me, I take one day at a time. So for me, my job is not over yet. The sensor is fast approaching. We still have to finish the CG shots or some of the sound fine tunings. So I'm not even looking at the release date. At present I'm looking only at the sensor date, that I have to finish all my work before that. So after the sensor is over, after my job is done, after he kicks me out of the DI theater, then probably I'll start thinking about the release and about all the tensions associated with it.
So the thing is, part 1 and part 2 were conceived together, and there was a certain part, at least 30% of part 2, that also was filmed with part 1. And it can't actually, in terms of profit and loss, you can't break it down into part 1 and part 2, technically speaking. It's two together is one project. But if you have to speak in absolute terms, part 1 we did not make any money. And also because we sold part 2 to most of the territories, and we sold it at very good rates, but most of them, but it did well, and the bonus went to most of the distributors, because they were the ones who benefited most. I mean, they did pay a lot more than the market rates at the time, but they still got the benefit out of it, of the film doing extremely well. So the benefit didn't pass on to the producers. But in part 2, yes, we will see a lot more success and commercial success. Yeah.
No, like Ega was challenging because, like, see, we were doing something which no one has done earlier. Probably for Bahubali, we have references like Alexander or a Troy or something like that. So for Ega, there was no references, and the kind of shots or the kind of visualization which Rajamouli had, it was very difficult to imagine. And the only references probably we had were from cartoon movies. So probably in cartoon, it's easy to create a world in that way. So actually shooting that world, and also challenging because in other films, generally where VFX is filled, the main characters are real and the backgrounds are created. In this, it was the completely opposite. So that was more challenging, and seeing the world from the fly's perspective. So these were like it's very difficult to imagine. So that's why it was, and putting them into work was extremely challenging, and it's very close to my heart. That film will always be. So in that way, probably that is more challenging than Bahubali. Definitely is. See, if you see his films from the beginning to now, it has been a very steady progress, or what I can say, the progress has been leaps and bounds in terms of visualization, in terms of presentation, in terms of what I can say is narrative. Everything has improved. So it is because he is not satisfied and he doesn't stick to one genre. Okay, I am good at it, let me do it. Now I am happy with this genre, let me continue doing it. No, he's not like, he's always challenging himself and challenging the team. So in that way, he's definitely a hard taskmaster, and he doesn't get satisfied easily. So I am honored to be associated with him, and because like every film is a very big learning experience.
Not just one scene. The toughest thing about Bahubali is the logistics. So many number of people, so many number of technicians, so many props, so much of huge sets. Just keeping the numbers, just adjusting your mind to those numbers itself was a biggest this thing. Now we will miss something like, okay, we planned very hard. We planned, okay, 2000 extras, how to get them 2000 extras to the location, from where to get them, what kind of costumes they should have, what kind of paints they should have, and all that. We prepared everything, and still the shooting was getting late because we never calculated how much time it will take for the guys who are ready to come from the makeup area to the shooting location, because it's 2000 guys, not just 200 guys. So that was those small things we continuously used to miss. So getting those things right, to think to that micro level and to get all the logistics right was the toughest thing. It's not the scenes. Scenes were pre-visualized, everyone knew what to do. That was not difficult. Managing was difficult.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's no two ways about it. I think the investment or the scale of the project is only possible when there is unquestioned commitment and trust between the individuals, between me and the director and the team, and me and the hero and the cast. When you have that mutual trust, one is the mutual trust that you are doing everything for the best, for the good, to go into to make a great project, and also the commitment. Both are absolutely.
No, the saddest thing is people tend to ignore that. People tend to think it's a recent issue, but it's not recent. The comments Mr. Satyaraj made was about 9 years ago, and from our part, we don't know what are the details about the issue. We don't know what Mr. Satyaraj actually said because we don't understand Tamil. So we know a little, but we don't know what he actually said, and we don't know what the objection of the Kannadigas is, because Kannadigas is. And thing is, the comment was made 9 years ago, and so many of his films released in this 30 of his films released in this period of time. Bahubali Part 1 released. No, there was no objections at that time, and it was suddenly out of blue. And my thing is that, we are in no way connected with the issue. It's a very sensitive issue, and we don't know what to talk about that issue. Whether our speaking will pacify the matter or instigate the matter in some other way, because it's a very, very sensitive issue. And we don't know whether keeping quiet is the correct thing or talking out is the correct thing. We are in a very confused state. And main thing is, we are in no way concerned with his statement. Satyaraj is not the director of the film, nor the producer of the film, nor the main hero of the film. And turning the anger on Satyaraj towards Bahubali somehow is not right. We feel it is not right.
And it doesn't affect Satyaraj anyway. Ultimately, it is Mr. Satyaraj. If at all, if it affects the film, which has nothing to do with Mr. Satyaraj or his opinion.
A difference of opinion, when you are two individuals, we both see world from different perspectives, but finally it is the director's vision which my job is to help my director tell his story, so using my craft. So different opinion do exist, but finally, it's such a long association. We both are finally, at least me, and working towards the betterment of the film. It is not about okay, whether he is right or I am right. It is finally the end product should be right. So he is very clear in his vision, and he knows what he wants. So I tend to, if I have something, I discuss with him. He's okay with discussion, and finally we end up doing what is better for the film. So as I told you, is one thing which never changed is the way he works hard. I don't think anyone in the unit works as hard as he is. He eats, drinks, lives films.
So one thing is the movie. This is the world of Bahubali. Then there's the movies, and then everything else that we spoke about. There is virtual reality, there's comics, there's animation, live action television series, merchandising. These have not been made to promote the film. They might help promote the film, but that is not the primary intent. Because the world is so big and so beautiful, and there's so much opportunity in the world, and there are so many fans who love this world, that we wanted to touch at different points. Some might want to read it, experience it as a comic. Some might want to experience it as a game. Some might want to experience it as a live action television series. So we are giving the different stories at different parts from the different parts of the world to different people and different platforms. So it's engaging with our fans and expanding the fan base. And as a whole, it's an ecosystem by itself. It's a beautiful ecosystem which continues to live beyond the films.
Yeah, no and yes. I wanted to do Mahabharata. I told that many times, but definitely not immediately after Bahubali. Mahabharata is such an epic that I need to up my craftsmanship to handle such a subject. And yeah, I met Amirji once quite some time back, and we spoke about Mahabharata. I know that he is very much interested in doing Mahabharata, but as I said, at present, I'm not even thinking anything beyond Bahubali, and Mahabharata is not definitely after. Like we were saying, why Katappa killed Bahubali is the most popular question that arises. But there are 100 more questions in the part one. So many unanswered questions, and each question, as it's being answered, is a very exciting experience. And as each question is being answered, it gives rise to another question. So the screenplay in the second part of the film, the emotions between the characters, and our action oriented style of conveying the emotions to the audience, all this put together makes it a very rich and engrossing viewing experience. And primarily answering your question, I don't need to tell at this point of time, I don't need to tell the audience why they have to come to the part 2, because they have their own screenplays. They have already decided to watch the film, and in their mind they have their own screenplay, and they want to come to the theater to check with their answer, no, to check the answers whether they have guessed it right or not.
We shifted that because of some logistics issues. So it's not a premiere, but we are having a screening at the BFI South Bank for the British Film Institute on May 2nd.